Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Viva Cafe con Leche. Happy Thursday. It's a beautiful day here. Finally, we've had nothing but rain and clouds and blah. But we did get a lot of good water. So thank you for that. Anyway, good morning. I am the badass Buddha, Lori Monaco, coming to you from Southern Connecticut. We haven't introduced ourselves in a long time, but basically, I am a coach specializing in narcissistic abuse recovery and understanding narcissism. And I'm a mindfulness teacher and a chiropractor. And welcome to Viva, one of the fabulous, fabulous duos here.
Hola, mi gente, aquí con la Margarita. Yes, we haven't. I guess, we just go with the flow. Hola, Milagros. Hello, I am Margarita de Margarita, also known as your gladiator guru. Margarita de Margarita means I belong to me. It's a beautiful feeling to seek and find the love within. That's what I do. I am a spiritual and creative healing life coach. And I'm so many things that I don't want to be anything. I just want to be free. Isn't that like so liberating even to think about it? But, when people tend to think about that, they get scared, and I'm just going to go head first into it. I don't want to be a coach. I don't want to be a coffee roaster. I don't want to be anything but the center light of Margarita. I do not want people, places, and things around me for a while that I have fully grown into. I am a woman who is in search of her soul so that it may dance with her spirit. How is that? Namaste.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That poeticness? No, it's not a word. That poetic, you haven't even said that in a while, like that poetic type of, I can't think of my words. I haven't really drank my coffee
It's
today.
too early. Yeah, I'm still sipping on mine. I haven't had mine either. But good morning, badass Buddha.
Good morning, Gladiator Guru.
I just one tip of advice for everyone out there. When you have females that you call friends, it's about accepting them where they are, as you would like to be accepted, with all your flaws and all your dark shadows, that you're stepping on like cockroaches and everything. And when you meet your friends, accept them where they are and observe them. Because sometimes those weeds that people love to cut out, pull out, and spray out dead are the most beautiful things that you can find in a garden. And because we're too busy looking over them towards the rose garden, we don't see the beauty right in front of us and what they have to offer to teach us, whether it be in strength or in courage or taking that leap of faith to do something. So today, when you go out there and you meet up with people that you know, I don't care if they work at Dunkin' Donuts, which I would never see them there because I don't go to Dunkin' Donuts, but that's neither here nor there, mi gente, okay? Let's not get off topic. When you go and see them, look at them and see them, see the smile, and then just love where you are today, every hour of every day today, and see how you feel at the end of the day. That's it.
Beautiful.
Maria Infante, buenos días.
That's beautiful. And so we have today's the final day to honor domestic violence awareness. And we have a fabulous guest that's coming on shortly to talk about just her badass self. Today is the title for today's show is I Am a Survivor, Thriving After Domestic Violence. And man, this lady has completely thrived. So she does have a hard stop. She has to jump off before the end of the show. And Gladiator Guru has a hard stop right at 9. So let's go into set our intention, do our mantra, and then let's bring our fabulous guest on. So as always, on Viva Cafe con Leche, our intention is to be intentional and
grateful.
Set your intention for whatever it is today. You could set it this morning. You could set it this afternoon. You could change it multiple times during the day, as long as you follow through with your intention and always within your heart have
gratitude.
Yes. All right. So here we go. The mantra, say it loud and say it proud. I am a disruptor.
I am a disruptor.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am unapologetically courageous.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am spiritually grounded.
I am magically orgasmic.
Ole.
And I am beyond authentic.
And I keep it real.
All right, fantastic. All right, so we haven't had Francia on in a while, but Francia Elena Rodriguez Reina, she is the
I love
founder.
it.
She is the founder of Fair Marketing, a digital marketing executive, among other things, because she's just incredible with what she does. She does multiple things, right? Because we are chameleons, like we have multiple colors and we do multiple things, and that's just being what it is to be a badass. She was born in Medellin, I'm going to say it wrong, I'm sorry, Colombia, raised in Norwalk, Connecticut, and a resident of Melbourne, Florida. She's a proud, loving mother of 3 young men. And the reason she works so hard to succeed in life. She comes from a humble upbringing and faced motherhood at a very young age with no solid foundation, single, and had to work harder than most. Fast forward, she's a first-generation college graduate, AAS in hospitality management, BA student majoring in sales marketing, Florida real estate broker, business owner, experience in multi-level marketing, public speaking, organizing of a women empowerment movement, and happy lover of life. She is also absolutely just gorgeous. Like and you know how some people have this beauty about them on the outside? She is that way on the inside. Like when you look at Francia, what you see on the outside is what is within. And what makes it even more incredible is the fact of her story, and it really sets the tone for women, and it's very inspirational for anybody that has been thinking that my life is done and over at such an early age, and I'm never going to get past this, and then to see what can happen when you get older. There's no time limit on anything. So, but without further ado, let's bring Francia on. Yay! There she is.
Hola.
I'm matching my Margarita today.
Oh my gosh,
yeah, the red.
You're like bookends. You have it on the opposite sides. That's so funny.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I am so humbled by everything you said. Thank you so much, ladies, for having me on again, for believing in me, for supporting me. Thank you so much.
Oh my God. Absolutely, you're welcome, because you know what, Francia, you have such a phenomenal story, and you're I don't like to say fight, when we fight through life, because it sounds awful. But your push, like your that
Your
warrior
battle
mentality. It wasn't even like this was just like 10, 20 years ago that you start, like this has been a lifelong thing, and you are still pushing forward. You are still reinventing yourself, like especially what you've done within the last, I would say, right, Gladiator Guru, like 4-5 years, right? Because when you moved to Florida, how long has it been now you've been in Florida?
3 years ago.
So only 3 years.
Yeah.
Right? Only 3 years, because when I met you where you were wearing like a chef's uniform, like you had, so you had your catering business, and then you were up here in Connecticut, and then you left, and it was not easy when you left, but you just kept pushing yourself and pushing yourself. And in that time period, like just even 3 years is the big, like I would say, would you say was probably the most incredible growth within these last 3 to 4 years for yourself?
I think it's when I started harvesting, like when I started eating my fruit.
There you go.
So to speak.
It burst. It's like growth and then growth,
yes,
and then growth. Okay.
Yes. I did have a lot, yes, throughout my whole life, teenage life, adulthood. I was planting. I wasn't sure what. I wasn't sure how. I was just, intentionally doing things. I was like, I don't want this. I know what I don't want. And then, yes. And then 2011, 2012, 2013 was like my midlife crisis, was when I lost, my sister, my dear sister, my father 6 months later, found my husband of 7 years cheating. So I filed for divorce, separation. So it was like one thing after another. And that's when my life changed. I said, I just started working on me. I started spiritually, physically, and then, like mentally, I started looking for where are the rooms full of people that are doing the things that I want to do and learn from, and and low key, how they say it, finding a mentor, finding somebody that I want to learn from, and they came in different shapes, forms, and styles, like from my neighbor Lillian, to started network marketing. So that was brand new to me, but I took everything that they had to offer, from the trainings, from the sales experience, from, the learning how to go through the no's. And then, in relationships, I've always been, a lover, I always believe in who I am, which I'm a lover, I'm a giver, and I wanted to continue to do that. So through my kids, through any partner that I would have. And then, yes, so when the opportunity came to continue my education, that was right around my divorce. I started, continuing my education. I went for my culinary. I went and I said, I don't want to work for, as a chef anywhere, Right. I was laid off in 2009 from corporate world. So I was always your receptionist, your administrative assistant, your office manager, climb up the ladders. But I was laid off at one of my jobs, and that's when I went to childcare. And the flexibility that I was able to give myself with a couple families and the pay, I was able to say, okay, I'm gonna continue my education, and I did. And because of that flexibility, I wasn't able to go back to a 9 to 5. I was like, no, they're my employer, but I started calling them my client. I I have a couple families I work for, and I pencil them in, and when you need me or whatever, they pay me. So I started getting that into that mind frame, and I said, I can't go work 9 to 5. I can't work shifts. I can't go clock in somewhere. So I decided to start my own catering company.
Yes.
And that's when Nuestra Cultura came into place. My sister was there for me. And I started Nuestra Cultura 20, oh my God, that was 2011 in the making. 2000, I want to say 2011, 2012 in the making. Mm-hmm.
And then the entrepreneurship bug bit you, like you said, and then that was that.
And
it was
So,
I have my Viva.
Yay! I don't even have my Viva cup. How's that? So tell everybody how you started, like your story, because it's that's the whole point of it, is the inspiration behind the again, we have this preconceived notion of the way things go, like you're supposed to, life is supposed to go this way and this way and this way, and it's supposed to go in this order. And not only did it not work for all three of us, really, it didn't go in the order we wanted it to. It didn't happen in the way we wanted it to necessarily. And we also got thrown those wrenches where we're, like, nobody ever says, oh, I want to meet somebody and I want them to abuse me. So that's never in, I want to meet somebody, fall in love, have a family, have a career. Like nobody ever says, like, I want to be a drug addict, or I want to be, whatever. Oh, she jumped off. She'll come back on. So that's what we're going to talk about with Francia as soon as she jumps back on. we're gonna have her go through her storyline. Here we go. There we go. So just explain to everybody like how you started and then where you are today, like where you are right now.
Yes. So, yes, I was born in Medellin, Colombia, to humble upbringing. My father was a taxi driver. My mom was the eldest of 16, and she was the lucky one with, my grandfather was, an executive, and he was taking care of home. Obviously, my grandma didn't have to lift a finger. She had the nannies and 16 kids. That to me is, was amazing. But my mother chose a different path for herself after she divorced, and she chose my father. She chose to leave a whole different, city to go with my dad. After 3 kids and a failed marriage, she moved to literally a room on a mattress to have another 4 kids, including myself on the last, second to last of 7. And and again, I want to start there because that has a lot to do with, us and our, and who we are. Just learning everything about who we, where we come from, who we come from. And she chose that. And my dad was elementary education. He was in the streets. He had women. He came home drunk after his shifts. He beat the shit out of my mother. And I was a baby. Then when in 85, he came to this country with my aunts, and then he sent for us 5 years later. So we were at home without him for 5 years. And again, I love my dad. When he was sober, he was the greatest person ever, the greatest dad, always have been a provider and a workaholic. So that's, I thank him for that. And every July he would come from the United States to see us. And it would be literally Christmas in July. He would come with everything my aunts gave him and big tools, and we just have a blast. But we would dread nighttime because he would get drunk. And the funniest thing that I just learned from my immediate cousins, who one of my aunts just passed away, was that they never saw that. They grew up, they're older than me. They grew up. And I'm like, well, my dad used to do it. They were like, what? He used to do what? And I was like, no wonder he didn't get drunk around you guys. No wonder he stepped away when he would send us to the parties. He was like, you guys go and represent me, to the weddings, to the birthdays, because he knew he would get drunk and he didn't want his own family to see that. Or his sisters would be like, the hell you're not, you're not doing this here. So for me to learn that now too, is like, wow. So he only did that with us. So then I come from literally watching my mom get beat down, broken legs, everything. He would leave and my mom would bring him to the airport with us in a cast because he just broke the shit out of her, literally. And so grow up seeing that, definitely plays a big part in my life. Trauma triggers, who my choices, what I settle for at times. So then we moved here at 10 years. I moved here at 10 years old with my siblings, with my dad. My mom stayed back for a whole year, and come to my dad cheating with the neighbor, experiencing, like, literally seeing that, him going next door. Like, it was just, so, and to just rewind a little bit, while we were there without my dad, my mom had my uncles at home. So I had one uncle who molested me, and not only did he did that to me, and I was so young to speak up or to anything, I watched him do it to my sister, my older sister, who at the time was 13. I was in my, 9 years old, 8 years old. And the funny thing is that he managed to manipulate her, and she left with him and had kids, a kid, and she's the one that passed away. That's a whole different Viva, if you guys want to put me onto that one.
Wow.
Yeah. So I have my family, a lot of my family didn't know that, especially on my dad's side. But after 17 years, she got pregnant again, and she's the one that passed away due to a C-section. And that's still a therapy session for our family, for us as, her immediate family. Yeah. So then coming here at 10 to a studio, with three of my siblings, my mother coming home to find out my dad was cheating on her. She used to bring us at 10, 11, instead of bringing us to ballet or after school activities, she would bring us to spy on my dad.
You know what, Francia? I don't appreciate that you read my manuscript somewhere and you're reading it as though it's your story.
No, that's why I so relate to your books, and I love reading your books. I cry. I was like, why did she write my story? Like, why she write some of my
But you know what, though? This is really the reason why the stories need to be told, because we feel very alone when it's our story sometimes. And sometimes that's what keeps us in where we are. Like that's what prevents us from moving forward, because we think, why bother? It's too late. I'm too old, or I'm too young. And it's just, I'm broken. I can't do this. And then we hear somebody say the same thing. Like, I can relate to what you just said about your mother, like following and doing all that stuff, because that was me. The only difference was, I did. I brought my, my youngest, she was very little. I remember doing that. And it's funny to hear you talking about it from the perspective of the child, because I'm coming from the perspective of the wife, and you don't think about it because you're so in that moment, because you're so emotional at that time. And I really felt for your mom with that, just when you said it. But so go ahead. Yep.
And just so that experiencing all of that, and then I don't, subconsciously go and say, oh, I'm going to pick the same asshole, that my dad is to my mom or was. It's not. It's just that poor judgment, that poor.
It's familiar. It's weird to say, but it's familiar. It's that's all you know. And in some ways, even though it's wrong, you think that's probably how it is everywhere. And so I'll just accept that. And it feels familiar to you. So when you go out there, you attract those people in, because it reminds you of when you were younger, good or bad. It just feels familiar. Sometimes that's part of the reason.
And I believe in daddy issues and mommy issues. So I had, growing up, I didn't hate my mother, but there was that resentment there. It was that, especially starting, and then at 14, I went out and got a summer job at Stu Leonard's in Norwalk. And, my aunt brought me there and lied about my age. She said I used my sister's ID. And then, so I was 18, but I really, on ID, but I really was 14. So when my eldest son father started coming along with little flowers and ice cream, I was 18, so then lost my virginity, got pregnant all at the same time, while he was like, okay, I'm moving to Florida, whatever you want to do. And I'm like, I don't even know how to tell my parents. So when I told my mother 3 months later, she took it up on herself. She was a big woman. She told my dad that she was pregnant, and she was on her menopause time. So yeah, I have a crazy life story. And yes, so a lot of that lying, a lot of that, and then mind you, she got away with it for the first few months, even after my pregnancy. So when I wasn't showing, so we left of May. As soon as we got out of I got out of 8th grade, because I stayed 1 year back. And as soon as we hit Florida, because my aunts lived down here, my mother took us, my sister and I, to Florida. I popped. My belly literally was like, okay, now we can show. My mom told my dad she was the pregnant one. She literally faked the whole thing. My aunts gave me my baby shower and everything, but those pictures and all of that like never existed. Then my son was born August, so we decided to stay. My mom said we couldn't fly back because of her pregnancy. And so we stayed in Florida, had my son here in Florida. And then a month later, we went back to Connecticut. And it was my parents' child. My mom kept him in his room. I went back to school. And what the fuck does that do to you? Like at 15, you're just going through all this, right? Your body just went through this emotionally, right? All that. Then I have to accept that that's not my son, that's my brother. And then I'm like, okay. I'm like, but I was there. My head, I was like, I'm grateful that I'm still here. I'm grateful that I'm still next to my baby, that I could do everything with him. And then, and then months later, I met my second son father. So the first one, he stayed in Florida. I told him the truth. So he was like, okay, I'm staying away from this one, because he was older than me. So he could have easily did time, if anything. So he was like, no, let me know whenever you need anything. So as soon as I turned 18, he started paying child support. And then rewind a year before, I met my second son's father, who was a street drug dealer. And every time I got off the bus from school, he would wait for me. And he was a mutual friend of my brother's. So started like kind of stalking me. And then next thing you know, he started giving me rides, giving me gifts, all of the nice things. And I'm like, no, he had a kid. I already had my kid. And he started getting, as I started to push away because his baby mother started, some drama, he started pushing and getting aggressive and getting physical. So every time I would try to run away, every time we would have an argument, it would be a black eye. If you leave me, I'll kill you. All of these things, to where it came to a point when he actually, took me in front of my sister. My sister called 911. They charged him with kidnapping, all of that good stuff. I got away. And then he would be right there waiting for me wherever I was. And then this time he literally, beat me to the point where I knew where his gun was. And I waited till he fell asleep, and I grabbed his gun. And I was so desperate, so hurt, so broken, no purpose, that I wanted to pull the trigger. And I put it right in front of his face, and I pulled the trigger, and the safety was on. The safety was on, thank God. And as soon as he heard like me trying, he got up and beat the shit out of me. My parents called the cops, because when I finally managed to get away, I was on, like, you couldn't recognize me. And then again, he was still there, and there was, sex involved. I ended up pregnant again with my second son. And I mean, the time is just not going to allow, to tell the hell that I went through with him, and the back and forth, and his kid's mother, and he got her pregnant as well. And at that point, it's like, I wanted to get an abortion, and, I just decided not to, and kept my son. moving, fast forwarding to now, well, he had to go to jail. He was sentenced for drugs and all of that, and the kidnapping and abuse. He did it to his kid's mother as well. So he got sentenced, and then he went away. So I thank God every day for that. I thank God that he went away. If not, I don't think he would have left me alone, or I don't think it would have ended with a happy ending.
Well, you were one of the fortunate ones who pushed forward. You see, when we discuss stories, when you listen to somebody going through that, you and I grew up in a very, very, very similar household. Alcoholism, neediness, poor choices. Like the choices were being made as though we did not exist as an extended part of them too. But the love was there, and that's why we do have mommy and daddy issues today. And it's why I'm almost done with my book dedicated to my childhood of not being hugged. Come hug me. And you have a book. You've already discussed several chapters of your book. When you tell your story, you just gotta, as we've discussed, 4 years ago, second year of Ajusta tu Corona, how you wanted to write a book. And I said, let me know when you're ready. Because the stories need to be told. They need to be told. One story could be told by 5 different authors, and it's going to be 5 different stories. And that's what we need to get out there, because there's still so many women living in shame, living just pretending things didn't happen, and all that theatrical shit. It's just it's eating away in the inside. When you walk in your truth, you're bringing it. Yeah, come on. You're bringing all the good, the bad, and the ugly with you, because that's your story. So I commend you for that. And I think that a lot of women need to realize that we didn't ask for it. Yeah, we stood there because, we didn't have the binoculars to see where was the door leading us so far away from it. But, let's go back. So you had your son, who maybe for the first 6 months of his life was raised as your brother. And then you contemplated an abortion, but you chose to keep him, and he is your second child. And now today, looking back at those choices, do you salute, clap, hug yourself, or do you still say, did I make the right choice?
Definitely salute, hug, appreciate, celebrate. I don't have daughters, but obviously my boys are as important, or important. So I would not want anyone, any child, any teen, to go through such thing, to go through, having a kid without that, without that stability, that balance, that mental, emotional, spiritual, that we can have as we get older. I wouldn't want, anyone to go through any of that domestic violence and things like that. So yes, do I regret my kids? Of course not. They are my stars. They are amazing kids. Everything I ask God for, I ask them to have my heart, to have, my charisma, and they're all 3 of them, are amazing. But do I go back and say, I wish I would have done that differently? I wish I would have been more selective on this. I wish I would have stood my ground on, on nose. Of course. But no, I'm very grateful to God, to life, to myself, to my family, to my tribes, for helping me get through it all, get back up whenever I, fall down. To this day, love my sister, love, you guys, my friends, my partner right now of 5 years have been amazing to me. So that that helps with navigating life, with getting to, traveling your path, with we're getting to your goals, is learning from those mistakes and knowing what you don't want, knowing who to stay away from, and learning your boundaries. That was a big one for me till this day. I was still like, simple no, simple don't overbook yourself, simple, you don't need to be everywhere, don't give access to everyone. All those things I've learned now as an adult. So it's been a long journey, but I have to say that God has placed amazing people in my life, has given me so many chances, so many opportunities, that I can't let myself down. I can't let him down. Is that's my motivation every day. It's like, bitch, you see where you come from? Like, you see where you've been through. I just failed.
I like that your God called you a bitch. Like,
yeah.
Oh yeah,
He's
sometimes
real.
it's like
He's real. He'd be like,
so listen, let's talk about, so you currently, right now, you are a real estate broker in Florida, licensed real estate broker.
I'll be co-broking with my broker
Okay.
until I decide to open up my own brokerage, but yes.
Which will happen, of course, right?
Of course.
You own your own digital marketing business, which has become very successful, especially in the last couple of years. Like, you have really done, and you're very talented. Like, you learned it as you went, and you are very talented in what you do. You already have your associate's degree. You are now currently working on your bachelor's degree, correct?
Correct.
And this all happened within the last 4 to 5 years for you, like all this big shift. You relocated, you went from Connecticut to Florida with just saying, I'm just going to do this. You didn't have the business. You didn't have the real estate license. You just showed up. Okay. Think about,
I transfer my real estate license, my license from Connecticut. I had my license in Connecticut, so it was
you were able
here.
to transfer it.
That was help. But I
think in the beginning, right? In the beginning, though, you got there first, and it wasn't quite transferred over yet, right? If I remember correctly.
Right. So so I had to take my state law exam here. I had to go through some of the process, but I decided not to bring my catering, start my catering down here.
Okay.
It took me the 5 years to build it up there. So I want to kind of shift my focus on something else, and that was real estate.
So when you think about this for a moment, when you look back, if you can go back to that young mother, especially at that moment where you were getting, controlled, coerced, beaten by that other guy, the drug dealer guy. In that moment, like when you were in the midst of all of that craziness, could you have, thinking about to that young girl, could you have imagined that your life would be the way it is today? Like, was there ever a time that at that point in your life that you said, and I know you don't have much time because you have to end in about 3 minutes, but you really didn't think you would ever amount to anything, get out of this, in that, was there a time when you felt that way when you were young, saying, I don't know how my life is going to be because it's not doing too well right now?
Yeah. There was a time where when I found out I was pregnant, I wanted to end my life. I tried. So yes, was I in a dark place? Yes. But as soon as that man went into jail, I saw light. I saw, one, God spoke to me that day, which prevented me from taking my life. And when I say God, we talk ourselves into and out of things, and he speaks through us, so I talked myself out of that. I said, no, hold on. I have my son, I have, I have me, I have my life. I didn't know, of course, I didn't see the successful, young, beautiful mother of 3, badass, all that you call me. I didn't see that. Of course, I saw the right now. I said, no, I'm more than this. And if I have one and I have my family, I can have another one. I can have this baby and be okay. And that's when I chose to tell my dad. And when I went upstairs, because it was my basement, I went upstairs and I drew the courage to tell my dad. I said, Dad, I wasn't going to tell my mom this time. I'm like, nope, she's going to create another story. I was like, no, I'm going to go straight to the man, because that was my man. That was the man of the house. No matter how he was, that's who I went to, and for everything. And when I told him, I said, Dad, I'm getting ready to graduate high school, because I did continue high school. But I have to tell you something. I'm pregnant again. And obviously they knew everything about the abusive relationship, because they called the cop. He hated him. And I said, Dad, this happened and I'm pregnant. And that man did not blink. He hugged me, which he's not a hugger. And he said, well, this will be number 2. That's when he told me he knew all along. And I just and he was like, this will be your number 2. So I hope you've learned your lesson. And as long as you have me, I got you guys. And he's been my baby daddy since. He's been my baby daddy. My kids love him. He's done everything, for me and the kids and the boys. So yeah, he was my baby daddy.
Oh God, that was beautiful. I'm crying now.
Yeah. So
what a way to end it.
Yeah, it was my dad, and my mom was very, very there, present, but
presently absent.
Yeah, but she was just
through our friendship with Francia and I, we have discussed it. Francia has met my mother several times, attending a justa, and when she would stay here with me in Florida. And our mothers, not only do they look alike, when we discussed about growing up with our mothers and our fathers, because our fathers weren't perfect, but they did show a little more warmth. They showed more acceptance of our existence than the moms who carried us and gave birth to us, right? But I think our stories are very similar in that part. I think not only do we share bonds of sorrow, sadness, abandonment, all of that, but it's how we get out of it. And I think that's the true story with anyone who has suffered any type of torment, pain, confusion, abuse from someone they once loved, is how did you get out of it? And that's the tribe we need to form. How did you get out of it? Everybody got a story, but not everybody's story of survival, battling, beautiful, and just belly crawling out of
literally
that hell. Yeah. Avoiding all the boulders and the fires and all the arrows with flames on it coming at you and getting out. And I think that's the true story of any true survivor of any type of domestic violence.
And choose to see, choose to open your eyes, choose to see your ways out. Don't just sit there. And I know it's hard, yes, but again, we talk ourselves into and out of things. And talk yourself out of it. Talk yourself through it. Allow those people that are in your life trying to help you, and you will get to things you didn't even know you were going to have. I never knew my destination was Florida. I have family here, so when it
worked out that way,
it just worked out. And and every day I do it for my kids, of course. I do it for my mother. I do it for my father. I do it for my siblings.
And that's the other piece of it too, is what did there was a pattern that was happening within your family dynamic, like your parents and your siblings. Think about the mold that you broke and what you set for your own children. Like your boys, because I know you love your boys. You're all about your boys. You're always posting stuff on your boys, and they're all gorgeous. And but think about what you did. Like, there is no way that they can ever say anything but, when somebody meets you and they say, oh, your mom, like your mom is good. Yeah, my mom is gorgeous and she is a badass. Like, there's no way they can't say that about you, because you're very open too about what's happened to you in your life, as crazy as it is. And they'll look at you and go, if my mother can, I can do anything. Like, my mother just
She
did it.
paved the road, yeah.
Exactly. And so you not only shifted for yourself, you shifted for your children. Like you said, you're even for your mother and everybody. And Gladiator Guru is right. It's the tribe. You created this for yourself, but then you share that story with everybody else to inspire somebody, even if it's just one person, to say, my God, I was listening to that Francia woman and I got the courage to just go. And I got the courage to say, I'm more than this. I deserve more than this. And I don't know where I'm going, but I'm going.
Yes.
I mean,
yes. And trust me, that end place or that journey gets better, gets brighter. And today I love my peace. I love everybody. I love you guys. I'm just in a great place, in a great place that I find that, we all have a price to pay, so to speak. I don't think that I had to go through that to get good things, but realizing that I'm still a great person, even that happened, even if that, despite of what happened to me, I'm more proud of that. I'm proud of who I can still be to a friend, who I can still be to my kids, who I can still be to my partner. I'm not a bitter. There's not a bitter bone in me. There's there's some bad attitude whenever you don't feel like dealing with stuff, but
you're real.
Right, you're human.
You're human.
And to say that you're not that is to be a total fraud.
Yes.
For yourself, and then what you're projecting to people, what people can see right through you. I don't know why we think that we can hide behind the curtain. Right. We ain't in Oz. Right. Okay.
But is your overall character?
And there's nothing you can't overcome. And you said there's a price to pay for everything. Of course, in order to win, we must lose. We must lose that familiarity that we've grown accustomed. We must lose the old ways that got us to where we're at, but cannot take us any further. And I think it's all introspection. I think when you learn to inquire within, you get a better hold of what you can and cannot do. And then so that sets the path of where you must go. And I'm just going to say that, we're all still on a journey. We will always, until our last breath, be in search of becoming a better person than we were yesterday. So we're a work in progress. Hopefully. Until our last breath. There's never a finish line. We did not reach success. Okay, now I'm just going to throw my hands up. Success can be go work, make money. As long as you work, take a long vacation like that. Why must we project ourselves into a box and take a 2-week vacation or maybe a week? Oh, we can't because the kids. Figure it out. Let's stop shortchanging our lives after we survived.
Yeah.
A fucking
war. For me, success for me is standing here again, backing up who I am, my character. Money we can make. Money's there to make. Careers we switch all the time. Professions we can, start here and end up an artist, start as a doctor, end up an artist. It's who my kids, post when it's my birthday, and truly know that, okay, that's me, who, when I turn around and people talk about me behind my back, that's who I want to back up. That's who I want to truly be, to not pretend, to not have to pretend, anything, yes, we can have a bad day and put on a smile, and know that smile is genuine. I'm having a bad day, but this is still my best smile. You know, I always end my emails or my signature with the best, not best regards, not best wishes, not is best. It's my best. It's the best Francia that wrote this email. It's the best Francia that, you know, that is before you.
And that's it. Because
missed
how do you
you.
measure success? That's a whole other subject we're going to have
I've
to
missed
do.
her.
Yeah, but
We haven't connected in such a long time.
in such a long time, and we were at a host at the gala together, and you filled my cup. So thank you. I know you left before it was complete, but you did. And
what do you mean before it was complete? It was over.
Well, before I left, before you left, before I was ready to leave. So
I'm sorry.
over is when you and I are both walking to the car. Vale? Okay. So
it's over when you walk out of the place.
Yes. So I'm just saying, you know, we all success is exactly where you are right now, not the accolades, not how many certificates you've gained, college degrees, you know, not how much followers you have on social media. And society has us believing that you're not important unless you have X amount of followers. Or bitch, I got 500 and I am the most famous, most popular, most admired person in my life. And every time that mirror reflects who I am, I'm the bomb. J-Lo who?
Exactly. And it's not cockiness. It's not cockiness. It's not, you know, arrogance. To me is knowing yourself.
If you're doing the best you can with what you have and you're going in the direction where your heart is going. And thank you for mentioning God in your story. A lot of people leave him out, and without him,
and he be bitching at me too.
Well, he be saying to me, he's like, this bitch asked me one more time. I say that joke.
You one more chance, bitch, but get up.
Yeah, you know, and so I'd be like, sometimes I go like this. I can't talk to you right now, God, because you know what I did, but I'm not ready to talk about it. And that's my relationship with God, you know. But again, the most important relationship in your whole lifetime is with yourself. That is success. That is how you measure success. Are you successful? Hell yes. Not only do I like myself, I honor myself, I cherish myself, I give myself boundaries. I have to remind myself of structure, and I love myself to no end. That is success because you are with you your whole life.
Yeah. I tell my boys, the most powerful thing you can ever learn or train to do is to balance your emotions, to balance how you react to things, you know, to learn how to react to acknowledge your emotion.
Respond to react.
To acknowledge your emotions. It's okay to feel that. It's okay to feel angry. It's okay to cry. It's okay to be happy and, you know, but where are you? Read the room. How are you going to react? Who are you reacting to? How are you going to talk to? What do you have to lose if you react this way? You know, all of that plays a part. And with personal and professional, you know, road rage, you know, even simple things in the car, whipping somebody here in Florida, they will shoot you. You know, so it's kind of like, no, I hate blowing the horn. So I'm not going. I hate when they blow it at me. So, you know, I hate people that are, you know, trying to crash into you because you made a mistake on the road. Excuse me, Mr. Perfect. You know, like you're not perfect, you know. So I will say, I'm sorry if I'm at fault, or keep it moving and ignore you if you're the mad one, you know, just trying to take the whole road. But again, simple things is how you react, how you show up. And I decide to show up the best me and controlled, be in control.
And you know what's the best you? I know we got to go. The best you is remembering as well. I think the badass Buddha, and I talked about this yesterday or last week. When you know yourself enough to know we're not going to be perfect. And you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to get upset if so-and-so says something. I'm not going to do it. And then you're like, fuck it, I did it. Bam. Don't ever speak to me again. But, you know, it's about reading the room, and it's about knowing yourself enough to say, damn, this food smells good, but the company's not. So let me get up and make my exit. It's leaving quietly.
Yes.
It's saying goodbye, but not saying goodbye. It's looking at everybody, raising your hand, and walking out gracefully. You don't have to be a hypocrite, because remember, the most important thing you got to remind yourself every day is nunca te engañes. Don't lie to yourself. Remind yourself that at the start of the day. And if you see a group you don't like, acknowledge, because it doesn't cost you a thing. And that should be part of your personality, is to acknowledge and then leave. Why do we feel we got to stay and show up for what? So yeah, it's just honoring yourself in a nutshell.
Exactly.
And loving and honoring,
and it's
loving.
not your business who likes you, who doesn't like you, who holds on to your past.
Or what you say about other people. It's when you do this too, and you're like, oh, look at that person does this. One finger towards that person, three back towards you. You know, if you're that person that's sitting there calling everybody else out on their shit, and maybe that three fingers back is, I got to reflect on me. And the beauty is once you accept that and you're willing to do it, it's a game changer, because you don't point anymore. You're like, you know what? That's their journey. And
that's the operative word, Laura. Thank you.
Yeah.
You have to see it. You don't want to see it. Everything is you, not them. It's you. This is you.
And it's not easy, but it's worth it.
I thank you, and I'm honored that you survived.
Thank you.
To be here and inspire us in many ways.
Yeah.
You are so loved.
Yes.
You know, my kids, my Tiffany and my Robert, they love you. I think Robert loves you in a different light, but he loves you just the same.
He's a flirt.
He
love you, Robert.
And today is my granddaughter's second birthday. So happy birthday, Savannah.
Happy birthday, Savannah.
And, you know, but thank you for surviving.
And I'm sorry you just lost a family member.
Violence. The Badass Buddha was on a TV show the other day. And, you know, I clutched my heart when she talked about her momentarily suicidal thoughts. And I'm like, thank you for surviving. Because we need this tribe. We need women who are honest enough to say, I almost contemplated suicide, or I almost, if the gun didn't jam,
almost contemplate. I almost did it
today. You know, those are the truth we got to speak, because everything isn't beautiful. Truth will come and hurt you, and the lies are ugly. So thank you, ladies. That's all. And
thank you, Francia, thank you for staying extra, because I know you had a hard stop, but thank you so much. So everybody, thank you so much. This has been so inspirational. Please make sure that you also reach out to Francia. You can find her on Instagram. Just look up Fer and then go from there. So thank you, everybody. Next week starts the month of gratitude and of inspiration, inspirational role models. That is going to be our focus for the entire month. So please make sure that you join us. And we want to just say thank you. We all need to run off. So from the Badass Buddha, have a great weekend. And remember, be you, be real, and be extraordinary.
Yes. And well, thank you, everybody, for coming in from the Gladiator Guru, mi gente. Remember, breathe in the beauty and breathe out the bullshit. Namaste.
Namaste.